Good to see you, my friend.
Oh, good to see you, man.
Strange times we're living in.
The strangest and getting stranger.
Didn't some shit go down today? Didn't we steal the president of Venezuela's plane?
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, I think we just stole his plane.
I didn't.
No, not us.
Okay, good.
The United States.
So
someone
kind of the
stole his
greater
plane.
us. All right.
Which is kind of an act of war. What is that?
Was he in it?
I don't think so. No. I think we just stole his plane. Yeah. Carl.
Just like for a joyride?
So what's the story? U.S. seizes Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro's airplane in the Dominican Republic. So we said, nope, we're stealing that. How does that work? Even if you don't get along with like a president of a country, how disrespectful is it to steal their plane?
You're right. It's an act of war.
Like, imagine if Xi Jinping landed somewhere and we're like, we're going to steal your fucking plane.
Yeah.
No chance. That's a bully move. That's a move you can only do to a country like Venezuela.
Yes.
Right?
Well, I'm trying to remember exactly what the story was, but there was a point where Ecuador was acting very courageously with respect to Julian Assange. And there was a question about whether the president of Ecuador could fly Assange out so that he could be outside of the embassy and inside of Ecuador proper. And I believe the reasoning was they couldn't do it because they expected the plane to be forced down. Same issue.
So this says Merrick Garland said that the Justice Department seized an aircraft we allege was illegally purchased for $13 million through a shell company and smuggled out of the United States for use by Nicolas Maduro and his cronies. What business is that of ours, though? This is what I don't understand. Like, if it was purchased through a shell company, then it was purchased.
Right. And was there a trial that established that this was ill-gotten gains?
It says smuggled out of the United States. The plane was purchased from a company in Florida, the Justice Department said, and was illegally exported in April 2023 from the United States to Venezuela through the Caribbean. So are we not allowed to sell them planes? Is that what it is? Like, because we have a problem with them? Would they say how much it cost? $13 million?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's got this $13 million plane, a Dassault Falcon 900EX, since been used to fly almost exclusively to and from military base in Venezuela. Justice Department said CNN reached out to Venezuelan government. U.S. It seems like, though, there's more to it than that plane was illegal. You shouldn't have that plane. For years, officials have sought to disrupt the flow of billions of dollars to the regime. Homeland Security Investigations, the second largest investigative agency in the federal government, has seized dozens of luxury vehicles, among other assets, headed to Venezuela. So there's a U.S. sanction. So there's a sanction. This is it. The plane was seized in violation of U.S. sanctions with Venezuela and other criminal matters that we're looking at regarding this aircraft. They're going to find a reason to keep it. Like they stole all those boats from all those Russian cats.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're too rich and you know Putin, so
right.
Give me your boat.
Well, that's the thing is there's a hidden story for everything, and this is about incentivizing the world, and we in the public don't get to know the real story.
Don't you think now, though, most people, I feel like genuinely most people are aware there's more to the story. Every story, everything in the news. Every time something comes up, people are like, what's the whole story here?
Well, I coined this term, the Cartesian crisis. And the Cartesian crisis basically means the point at which you can't really be certain of anything. And the problem is, yes, I do think people are catching on to the fact that they never know the real story. But the response to that is either that you start believing the bullshit that they tell you, or that you just become cynical and stop believing anything. And neither of those are functional ways to exist.
And both those ways are good for the people that are running scams.
Exactly. They're good for the people who want to maintain power because it just keeps us back on our heels.
Yeah, because if you don't know what's true and what's not true, you're like, oh, geez. And then you get cynical, oh, it's all bullshit, this whole system's rigged, then you just go fishing.
Right, and that's the thing people don't understand, is that at the point that you think you're striking a blow by checking out of their system, you're actually doing them a favor.
Right. It's actually beneficial to them because then you have a smaller number of people that are voting. So essentially in the 2020 elections, it was the largest ever win, right? The Democrats got 80-something million votes which is so let's say even if it was 50-50, so somewhere in the neighborhood of 160 million people. How many people are women and children? I mean, how many people are children? Women can vote. What am I saying? How many people are children, rather?
Oh, geez, I have no idea on the percentage.
Under 18. It's probably in the 30%. So that's a pretty high turnout.
Yes, if that was even
If
the
it was
turnout.
real.
Yeah, that's
Right.
the problem. We have no
Therein,
idea.
that's the problem with the whole cynical game. Because I'm not convinced. You know why I'm not convinced? Because everybody wants me to be convinced. When they like yell at you, if you ask a question like, "Hey, what?" One of the things that I've always said, and everyone sort of agrees with this. I mean, literally everyone, even people that think that the election was 100% legitimate. The percentage of voter fraud is never zero, correct? And
Right.
they're always like, yes. No one can say it's zero.
Right.
It's not zero. There's a bunch of slippery people that get arrested on both sides of the aisle. Republicans and Democrats get arrested for election fraud. It's a real crime. The idea that they commit all these other acts of fraud and deception, but when it comes to elections, Brett, that's a sacred institution that we don't violate at any cost.
Yep. Well, and the way they maintain that story is by ruthlessly punishing anybody who questions it, even though questioning it is the obvious thing to do.
Right.
Because for one thing, elections used to be different, as you remember.
Yeah.
Right? First of all, you used to vote in person, and voting by mail was something you were very reluctant to do because you knew that if your vote got counted, it was going to be very late in the process. It wasn't really going to matter.
It was mostly for soldiers serving overseas.
Right, exactly. It was for people who just simply couldn't vote in person, and it
Yeah.
never really mattered except in very rare cases. The disappearance of that and the normalization of voting by mail, the normalization of voting across a period of time so that you're not all voting on the same day, and the absence of exit polls, right? When everybody's voting from home or wherever, you can't detect fraud by virtue of the fact that the count that came in from that precinct didn't match what the exit pollers registered.
Right.
And so, I don't think we are wrong to imagine that we have lost the ability to check whether an election is fair and that that's not an accident. That leaves the possibility open to cheat. And as you point out, they cheat in every other way. Are we supposed to believe that they won't do that because their patriotism is so deep? I don't see any patriotism to them at all.
Well, not only that, they've established this narrative that it's imperative that the Democrats win to save democracy.
Right.
So they've already made all of these statements that it's more important for them to win than anything. More important than anything. More important than having primaries. More important than letting the people decide who the representative is. More important than having like live, actual conversations, interviews that aren't edited on CNN.